Hello everyone and welcome to the Fortnightly. My name is Tito and in this episode I'll be sharing with you tips on how to be a good second shooter. Tomorrow I'll be shooting a wedding with a friend of mine, Demi O of Demi O Photography. You should totally check him out. He's an awesome photographer. And as I thought about it and prepared my mind for the event tomorrow, I thought it would be a good idea to do a video on how to be a good second shooter. Who is a second shooter? Well, a second shooter is a photographer who works alongside or along with a main photographer or a principal photographer to capture an event, and in most cases that event is a wedding, from a different perspective, a different angle, or a different location. For instance, using the wedding scenario, while the main photographer may be shooting the bride as she prepares to head to church, the second shooter would be taking pictures of the groom as he prepares to head to church. A lot of photographers, it may surprise you to learn, a lot of wedding photographers started out as second shooters. The reason is it gives you a good opportunity to both learn and work at the same time. It's like on-the-job training. The main photographer has the opportunity to tell you a few things, to show you a few things, and then you have the ability there and then to put them into practice at the shoot. Now, being a second shooter is not as easy as one may think. It takes a little bit of thinking on your feet, especially for you to be a good second shooter. You want to be an asset to the main shooter, to the principal photographer, and not necessarily like a liability or not someone that's dragging the day down or wearing out his energy. You can actually be very proactive and very helpful if you know what you're doing. So based on that, this video is going to be on a few tips on how to be a good second shooter. Tip number 1, know your main objective. Now, when you get a call from a photographer asking you to be their second shooter for an occasion or an event, it's most likely because they've thought of the entire event and the sequence of it, and they identified a portion or a segment of it, at least one anyway, where they know that they will need some help. Now, even though they identify it in their minds, it's one thing to identify it in their minds, another thing for them to communicate it to you. Because I've been a second shooter for other photographers in the past, and then when I meet up with them or maybe even on the day of, and I ask them, what am I supposed to do? Then they go like, oh, just have fun, just have fun. But no, that's not just it. When you were thinking about this event, you didn't just think, oh, who would be fun to cover this event with? Oh, let me give Tito a call. No, perhaps they thought that, okay, who's good at, shooting grooms, or who's good at taking details, or who can I trust to give me pictures of the guests and the relatives while I focus on the couple? Who is that person that I can call? When someone's name comes to mind, they're the answer. But when you call them, they don't know that that's why you call them. So before I ramble on, the main photographer, it's his objective or it's his responsibility to communicate to the second shooter what his main objective or what his primary assignment is going to be. If he doesn't communicate it, then it's up to you, the second shooter, to ask him or her, what is my main assignment? What is my primary objective today? Tip number 2, be an extra pair of eyes. Now, this particular point is actually twofold, ironically. First of all, when the photographer is covering the event and focusing most likely on the couple, you'll need to be alert to take pictures of other things happening. Take, for example, when the best man is giving a speech, or an uncle or somebody is giving a speech and he happens to be funny. When I take pictures, I think in terms of the final product, the photo book and the slideshow. So when I'm taking pictures, assuming I'm the principal photographer now, when I'm taking pictures of the best man giving his speech and people are laughing in the audience, as I'm focusing on him and the couple, I will need my second shooter to focus on the people in the audience, the guests in the audience, as they laugh, or even as, he may be referring to somebody in the audience. I can't shuttle between them and him, so I'll need my second shooter to be on that. So the second shooter, is up to him to be alert, to think outside the box, and to just to be on his toes. And to, whenever he sees things that would look good in the photo book or things that just generally would look good, it's his job to get those images. If you're a photographer, or if the principal photographer is the kind of person who likes a lot of candids, then you need to also be alert to catch people doing, candid things like laughing, whispering, cracking jokes, dancing, that kind of stuff. And your main photographer, your principal photographer may not tell you this, but he will certainly appreciate it if you can get those kinds of shots. Now, the other aspect of being an extra set of eyes at the shoot is because as photographers, we tend to get carried away in our work. And even when we're not carried away sometimes, there are people around with ulterior motives, people who are, unfortunately there to just pickpockets and steal things. It doesn't happen just here, it happens everywhere in the world. Relax. So, you as the second shooter, right? Since I'll give you a scenario. When posing the couple, the main photographer may put his camera down or his phone down or something on the table and then walk towards them. If you, the second shooter, are not observant of your environment or alert or aware of your environment, you may get lost in what's going on, and that may be an opportunity for men of the underworld or whatever to pick the phone or pick the camera and take off, or for somebody to even, they may not have ulterior motives. Somebody may just walk past the table and knock the table over, and there goes the camera, there goes the phone. So you as a second shooter, it would be in everyone's favor if you just be aware of the main shooter's environment, what he's doing, and just keeping an eye on the gear. Essentially, it's not a big deal, but it goes a long way in showing that you're on top of your game and you're aware of your surroundings. Tip number 3, an extra set of hands. Okay. When a photographer is back to the posing thing, sometimes when he's posing the couple, there are times when you need someone, an assistant. Usually it's an assistant, but there are certain weddings that you cannot bring a whole lot of people to. Sometimes it's just you and your second shooter. In those moments, you need to be ready. You need to be agile. You need to be energetic to, hold the tripod, hold the monopod. If, he's shooting flash off camera, hold the reflector, or, that thing when we capture the veil, like in mid-air, like the wind is hitting the veil. Well, there's a trick to it. Sometimes, the second shooter, the assistant, lifts the veil, runs out of the shot, and then the main photographer takes the picture. Sometimes you may need to be that person. As a second shooter, you may need to be that person that holds the veil and then lets go of it and runs out of the frame sometimes. So yeah, you're an extra set of hands, and it's really key. It goes a long way as well in showing that you're prepared and that you know what you're doing and you know what it takes to assist and be a good second shooter. Tip number 4, always have the main photographer's back. Now, odds are throughout the event, you guys are going to be working very hard and you're both going to get maybe tired or thirsty or hungry at some point. Once in a while, go up to your principal photographer and ask them how they're doing. Ask them, if they're tired, if they'd like to take a break while you take over, or if they need a drink, or if they'd like to take 5 and grab something to eat. That kind of thing, doesn't go unappreciated. So, tip number 4, always have the principal photographer's back. Tip number 5, be loyal and trustworthy. Sometimes while covering a wedding, a second shooter may be approached by a guest or a friend of the couple about, for their contact details because they want to give them business or they'd like to hire them or something. In those situations, ideally, you are meant to give the person making the inquiry the contact details of the main photographer, of the principal photographer, not your own contact details, so that you can steal the business from the main photographer. Because let's face it, they see you guys working together as an efficient team, and what's in their mind is that they'd like to hire you guys together or just hire him. So it would be shifty and dodgy for you as a second shooter to present your own details to try and steal business or potential business from the main photographer. Now, unless it's a special case or special scenario where you've taken permission from the main photographer, or the person making the inquiry has expressed that it's you they want to hire and not the main photographer, then by all means, go ahead. Maybe there's a bit more leeway there. But normally, ideally, give them the main photographer's details and hey, hope for the best. Well, that's it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I need to prepare for an event I'm shooting tonight, a birthday party. And tomorrow's wedding that I'm shooting with Demi, like I said, check him out on Instagram and check his website as well. I even hope to put up some of the pictures or maybe even some video from tomorrow's wedding here on the Fortnightly. Thanks for watching, guys. Remember to like, subscribe, share, follow, and all that good social media stuff. My details are on the screen right now. My Instagram and my Twitter are at Eniola Tito, and on Facebook you can find me at Eniola Abumere Photography. My website is www.abumere.com. Cheers, guys. Wish me luck for tomorrow, and I will see you in a fortnight. Take care.